All right, looks like we are live.
So what's up, man?
Not much. Pretty uneventful day, I guess.
I can't say too much happened for me either. One of my friends came over. Uh, Dude got out of prison not too long ago. He ain't really got nothing to do because he's on like parole and stuff. So I gave him an Xbox and a video game to play. He's pretty psyched about it.
Uh-huh. Wow. How long was he in prison?
Oh, for 3 years.
Hmm.
He ended up getting out really, really early, actually.
Good behavior.
Pretty much, and I think he said something about he wrote a bunch of letters to like the judge or something like that.
I see.
He just, he's expecting to be in jail for like actually for several more years, and he just randomly got like a letter being like, "We'll let you out on parole here in like a month," and he's like, "Oh crap!"
Wow.
And he didn't even believe it at first.
Well, I hope it was a non-violent crime.
Huh? Oh, I don't think he actually did anything to hurt anybody. It involved stealing a car.
Okay.
And then there was some older charges that were related, but he didn't do anything to hurt anybody.
Right. Okay. Well, hope he learned his lesson.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Mm. I'm waiting on a couple other people to come in here.
Well, let's see. I've been listening to college lectures on Greek history. That's kind of interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like
Tell us. Yes. Go
huh?
ahead. Yeah, tell us a little what you're learning.
I found out the Spartans are a little bit crazy. I don't know, like they got some weird things in their culture. Like they're encouraged to steal. Like they're encouraged to steal, or they were, but then they would be severely punished if they were caught. And from age 20 to 30, they're not allowed to live with their wives or really even see their wives, but they're encouraged to get married to a family. And if they're caught actively with their wife, then they'll be punished, which is weird. Like this, like really, I don't know, contradictory things that are being encouraged and punished. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, James, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm all right. I got a couple of minutes here, so I thought I'd stop in.
Oh, cool.
Hi. Son's in town, so he sleeps in the guest bedroom. So a lot of the late night discussions I'll be absent from for a little while.
Ah, the computer's in there, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
How old is he?
He's 12.
Well, we'll tell him to come in the chat in your place. We'll be nice. Is he
Oh, I
James
don't know.
Jr.?
Huh?
James Jr.?
Well, sort of. I'm working on it.
Uh, so yeah, Phosphorus is telling us to be talking about some Greek history. So these guys, the Spartans, so they can get married at say 19, but then they can't be with their wife from 20 to 30. I guess what? Because they're going to be in the military, I imagine, right?
Or yeah, they would live in boarding or barracks basically from 20 to 30. But in that time, they were encouraged to get married. But if they were actually caught with their wife by like their superiors, then they'd be severely punished. Which that's kind of like a weird
Yeah.
a weird practice to be like, no, you should go get married, meet a girl, and have some kids, but don't let us catch you doing it. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
take liberty. Thanks, Greek. Agree
Yeah.
separate. Big comment.
And they weren't allowed to move in with their own family till they were in their 30s.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how they died out so quick.
No, maybe.
Civilization just kind of went by the wayside.
Well, I assume I thought if they're like on some kind of military campaign. I mean, I don't know the history. Wouldn't they be away from the wife for a time, or did they have like leave like we would know?
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, all I know is that pretty much everybody that was a legal citizen of Spartan was always training to be a soldier.
Hmm.
And then, when they actually had to go to war, they went to war. I don't know if they had leave or anything like that, but basically from age 7 to age 30, it was constant training, basically, more or less.
Excuse me.
Day-to-day life was getting ready for war. In fact, like they didn't even do anything. Like all the legal citizens were just training for war. So because of that, none of the legal citizens actually did anything to manufacture or like farm crops. So their entire economy was based off slave labor in Sparta, at least. Not all of Greece. It's just Sparta. Sparta specifically like this.
Ah,
I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I was listening to some
Okay.
college lectures on YouTube the last few days.
cool.
Well,
Well,
I'll share. What?
I was going to say one of the things I thought was kind of interesting is that the Greek writing comes from like it itself isn't, but it's inherited from like Semitic writing and stuff, like stuff that are related to early Hebrew, which I thought was a bit odd, considering that they're from Western Europe. I mean, it's a little bit close, but
yeah, they lived in Greece for a while. Hebrew folk did. That's why a lot of the kids still name, or a lot of Jews still name their kids Alexander,
oh yeah.
because of Alexander the Great. I wouldn't doubt if there's
We're
some.
talking about way before that, though. We're talking about like we're talking about like almost maybe 1,600 BC, something like that. Before that they even had when they adopted their writing.
Huh.
What is
Oh,
similar? Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, aleph, bet, gimbal. You know, I wouldn't doubt if it's similar.
Hmm.
Gimbal dalet, so it's alpha, beta, gamma, delta, aleph, bet, gimbal dalet.
And they had a writing system. They had their own writing system before that, and it was like they had letters for syllables instead of letters for individual sounds, basically. And that kind of died out, and they lost their writing for like several hundred years before they adopted a Semitic kind of writing.
Yeah. Well, hey Rob.
Hi, mate. How you going?
All right. I guess I'll give a brief explanation. I didn't get into this as much as I wanted to, but a brief explanation of why I named the room Dragonflies and Butterflies. I'm sure you guys are wondering, no?
No. You probably got your reasons.
Yeah, as bizarre as they might be.
They're both pretty and colorful.
Well, I guess last week I was out in the yard and I saw like just one or two butterflies, and I was like wondering. I mean, I was kind of wondering why I haven't seen any more than usual. But then today, I noticed different butterflies around, here and there, and at the same time, I was noticing dragonflies. So I just felt it was kind of just weird that I was like seeing them at the same time, just popping out. Maybe it was just both their times to come. It was the season for them, I guess. So I was just curious, and then I was just thinking about vaguely just the differences. So I just did a quick search on Google. I just put dragonflies and butterflies. I get a comparison, and all I got was I got one page. I'll give you a link to it, and it's a paper done at the University of Pennsylvania. A brief thing, and it starts out with Hey Prescott,
Oh, you can hear me?
I hear you. You're green, but I hear you.
Green's a good thing.
So the beginning starts to talk about the evolution of insects and the stages of evolution before the insects started to grow wings. And it said that the dragonfly was they have the earliest fossils of dragonflies. It was before any kind of butterflies. And I found that interesting that the dragonfly had to proceed before the butterfly because and then in that article it tells you about how their life cycle is different. A dragonfly only has 3 stages. You'll see it drops their eggs. They lay their eggs on plants or leaves in the waters. I have a creek by my house, so I do when it's time I do see a lot of dragonflies will be alongside the creeks. So I guess they're laying their eggs, and then it'll be a nymph and then an adult. But the butterfly there has 4 different stages. And then in that article, it stated that later on, for the dragonfly part of its existence, for part of it to exist, it needs the butterfly to actually, where is it now? I'm sorry. Let me try to find it. It's the last couple lines in the article. Although butterflies and dragonflies show some similarities in structure and development, they are of a totally different order. Each has developed in a unique manner to fit the niche in which it occupies. Butterflies help to pollinate flowers and are food for the dragonflies. And I thought that was kind of interesting. But then I didn't know this also. It said in here that like butterflies they could fly like 30 miles an hour. Yet a dragonfly can go like 90 miles an hour, and it can do all sorts of different maneuvers. If you've ever seen dragonfly, they can do these right angle turns. They can hover. They could just shoot off straight out. But what I was seeing, I guess, I was kind of seeing, and yes, there's male and female in both species, but I was kind of seeing that a dragonfly would be more considered, I guess would appeal to a male and a butterfly female, how girls like butterflies and stuff like that. So I guess I was just seeing these kind of contrasts and similarities between the two. And so I figured that's what I was sharing. I don't know if it could relate in any way to men and women or natures or how we or how maybe we if you had to choose what you were more like, a dragonfly or a butterfly. I don't know. Like I said, I wanted to read up more about these two. I just didn't have the time. I was doing some yard work today. So it was kind of a whim just to throw this up there, and thought it would be kind of interesting.
So do we know anything about the Dragonfly Society? Do they operate more like a hierarchical model, or do they is there more savagery in their little world? Whoops! Probably I've driven away the idol smasher.
Well, he can only stay for a short while.
Yeah.
But I didn't see anything in that article. Again, that might be something of interest.
I'm interested, John, seeing that you're an observer of nature, noticing I assume that you've been in that location for a period of time.
Been in the what?
Where you live, you've been there for a number of years, have you?
Almost 7 years.
Okay, so would you say that this observation you're making, would it be the normal seasonal thing, or has it somehow piqued your interest that there's something different this season in terms of their appearance and availability?
Well, I think I'm just seeing them first come into being, together.
You haven't witnessed that in previous seasons?
I'm sorry?
You haven't witnessed that in previous seasons?
Or maybe, um, actually, yeah, I guess I have, but
Okay.
a little bit, maybe a little bit later on, when there were more, there was, many more of them, like there were many more dragonflies. Right now it was only like a handful, and their color was kind of light. It was almost transparent. Um, Usually later on, when I notice them, probably when they're laying their eggs, they become a black with a kind of a light purple tail,
Yeah.
and but I haven't seen that yet, and there'll be many of them. So maybe it's just not that time for them, but.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, you see, over here we have so about this time of year. This is perhaps unrelated, I don't know, but we traditionally go mushrooming. Mushrooms sort of flourish at this time of year, and for the last 5 years, they really it's almost like they've disappeared. But this year, there's been a small spattering of them.
has the weather been warmer than usual?
Yeah, yeah. It's been warmer. So this winter is nowhere near as cold as previous winters.
Well, that makes sense if more mushrooms are coming up. I think that heat helps because it's a fungus, helps it grow. I can imagine.
Well, I can remember back in my younger days, the time for the mushrooms was always sort of March, April, I think. But now, what are we? We're in June, July, so even that's later than the norm. So just
I've
interesting
noticed.
change.
Yeah, I've noticed also. Yeah, some of the flowers were definitely blooming late this year. I think because of we had such a cold winter.
Yeah.
Well, it tended to be a long winter, at least for us here in Canada. I moved on the East Coast and we don't see it as much, but like compared to the rest of the country. But I mean, it really never warmed up until even the last couple of weeks. So it would not be surprising that a lot of activity that we would normally see happening earlier in the year is put off just by the fact that we've had a colder winter.
Yes.
Mm.
It's just normal. I mean, it's normal in the sense that if you're going to have a longer winter, then it's going to necessitate changes elsewhere. Like it's not like everybody else is going to show up on cue. Like geese when they fly north and south will adjust the times that they leave based on what's going on around them. So.
Mm. I'm sort of caught thinking. I'm wondering though, John, what's the thing that sort of spurred your interest? It may not be climate. It might be the relationship between the species.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I didn't get a chance to look more into it. I just came
So
across.
do you have an instinctive sort of? Is there something that something? Oh, I wonder. Like, is that question in you that sort of? It's like you've got some sort of idea that you'd like to explore, or
I guess it goes maybe to the just polarity in life. A duality, that yin and yang kind of deal, that male female aspect.
so. How do you see it playing out? So sorry. How do you see it playing out in the? They're wearing winter coats there. How do you see it playing out then? Well, I think before you said that you saw probably the dragonfly as the male, or I suppose yang, and the butterfly yin, would it be?
Um, yin,
Yin.
yeah, correct.
So
Yeah.
how would that play
Nurturing
out? Or what?
nature too. That. I'm sorry.
I was just wondering how are you seeing some sort of connection though between the two species in any way, or are you just making that observation of contrast between two species that just happen to be around at the same time.
Well, I see the contrast. Also, each one goes through its own metamorphosis, but one has like 3 stages, and the butterfly 4, and and the butterfly, the caterpillar, the butterfly has been used, plenty of times as a metaphor of rebirth, or change and transformation. Um,
Mm.
you know, even like going into your, say, going into the cocoon in a sense can be when you need a time of reflection, say meditation, alone, contemplation. I don't know. I could look at it that way, I guess, before a
Mm.
transformation is done, perhaps. Um, Gets a lot of its nutrition from there, gets fed.
Yeah, yeah, but that's just like their life cycle. That's just the way it is. That's the way they function.
Mhm.
So the human is using that metaphor potentially inaccurately, perhaps, because we're sort of using that metaphor, but really for humans, I think the 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 state is always a constant, and it's about becoming aware of the state to get the change event. So yeah. Well, I suppose it's the maturity thing, isn't it? Really, you sort of you're using that analogy to sort of talk about how humans come in and sort of go through these cycles in their life, and hopefully through time they mature into the enlightened butterfly, something like that.
Mhm.
However, I'm not so sure that it's really an ageist thing. I think um, you can see that special maturity in young people as well. Like there's a show out here called MasterChef, and there's a young girl on it, and I think she's 18, and she's just the absolute superstar amongst all these cooks. So you're familiar with MasterChef?
Um, no,
Well,
but then
what it is,
again, I've seen so many different cooking shows on.
yeah, well, it's basically a cooking competition.
Yeah.
But this young girl who's 18 years of age, she shows maturity far beyond the rest of the group, and there's some older people in there. So I'm not so sure that it's locked into an age thing. Just a thought. Anyway, back to your butterflies.
I'm just going over this real quickly, this article again.
It's interesting. I didn't know about that speed difference. That's really interesting. Because the predators obviously, and the dragonfly is the predator of the butterfly, so you would expect that he would evolve to have an advantage.
Yeah, 90 miles an hour dragonfly. This
Wow.
is to go. That's pretty
For a
fast.
butterfly, it's not got much hope.
But the dragonfly relies on the butterfly.
Yeah, well, like the lion and the wildebeest, I'm sort of starting to think in that line. So I'm thinking of dragonflies as being a predator species, probably lower in volume compared to the butterfly. So if I'm to guess at anything, I guess that the butterfly population would be larger, that they move in packs, sort of to help them with the predatory issue. Does that bear out in terms of volume?
Well, the butterflies I see here, they're usually flying by themselves, except for if I do some garden work, say, and I take some mud or something out of the creek. Now that mud it'll be very, there'll be a lot of minerals in there,
Yeah.
a lot of nutrients in there. So if I have it on the side of the creek, I've noticed this will definitely attract a large amount of these white butterflies, and there could be, God, 10, 50 of these things just flying around there just to get the food from there. That's the only time I really see them, like,
Bunch up.
yeah.
Oh, I'll throw that one out of the. So, what's their survival strategy? How do they sort of? Well, sorry. First question would be, if you had to guess, would you say that the populations are sort of equitable, like the same number of dragonflies, or roughly the same number of dragonflies to butterflies, or would you say there's a population that's larger, and if so, which one?
Um, I mean, I'm just looking, in my yard. So again, I have the advantage of having a creek, so that's going to attract a lot of dragonflies. But so I would say it's equitable.
Yeah, but that's probably a good point you raised there. Is that so? Where do butterflies birth? Not necessarily in the creek, would they? They'd be up in the trees, or
Yeah, on the trees, and they're gonna
so.
have.
It might be a biased observation because there'd be more surface area that's land than there is creek. So if you're able to get that wider perspective, you might find that there's far more butterflies than there are dragonflies, possibly because the dragonflies are their life cycle is dependent on the water. Maybe.
The dragonflies, yeah.
Yeah, they've got a very niche habitat compared to a butterfly.
A very rich habitat.
A niche habitat, like it's a very specific place that they live, in general.
So I'm curious about the survival strategy of a butterfly, though. How do they? So you know me, John, and my little wolfies. That's my mindset. So I'm thinking that lions have got this, looking after the alpha male model, and wildebeest are a herd sort of premise, that sort of thing. I'm just wondering if, if you've got all these dragonflies zooming around, how does the butterfly defend against that sort of pretty powerful predator?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, perhaps their wings serve as a camouflage to some extent.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
some of them are camouflaged, and some of them use the markings on their wings to look like a fin. But as far as I know, I think that those defenses are really meant to protect against birds. I'm not sure a dragonfly would really recognize the patterns on their wings looking like an animal's face, but maybe they do. Maybe that scares them off.
All right.
According to this article, the dragonflies like to be around moist areas such as wetlands, ponds, streams, and lakes. They live most of their lives as nymphs in the water and will return there as adults to mate and lay their eggs. As for their diet, butterflies will uncoil their proboscis or tongue and drink the nectar from flowers, where the dragonfly much prefers flying insects like bees and unfortunately butterflies for their meals. Morphologically speaking, dragonflies and butterflies share some general characteristics. Both have three bodily segments: a head, thorax, and abdomen. Both have compound eyes, wings, and 6 legs, but there is where the similarities end. So you have a similarity, and then kind of, diverses from there. So I don't know if I see anything into that as well. I don't know.
Well, back in the day they might have been very similar, and then one of them decided, honey's not for me. I'm going to start cannibalism, and that might have been the trigger point to send them off on different pathways. Vegetarian versus meat eater.
Have you ever seen I saw it a while ago. There was on YouTube. It was a time-elapsed video of a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. It was quite remarkable. Because the caterpillar, because it's in its cocoon and larvae, it'll eat its way out. and that's how it feeds itself, by eating the cocoon around it.
Ah, right. Mm. I don't know. I'm not really seeing much of a correlation between the human experience anyway, other than just metaphor.
Yeah. But metaphors are good. They can be good sometimes. They can be helpful.
Well, if they're accurate.
Yeah. So being
Hmm.
uh, yes to the first part, Prescott. The second part, I don't know. I don't know why he had to send. He sent me a message.
Yeah.
Cocooning, yeah. I would say, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Could be a meditative state. The analogy of a meditative state. Who knows?
Yeah, but you got a transformation. Meditation is not a transformation. It's just accurately practicing or applying the correct state or being in the correct state.
So there's no
So,
renewing that takes place when people participate in meditation. Well, then why do it?
well, it's the norm, if you like, or the standard state, as far as I can tell. And what you're doing is you're actually really, well, I suppose you could use that metaphor of, you know, devouring the old cocoon. Yeah, that actually does fit, John, because what you're doing is you're really shedding the ego. That's what you're doing in meditation. You're just learning to get rid of the bullshit thinking mind and get back to the pristine state. That's what meditation means to me.
It's less of a transformation and more of a calming down and becoming still. It's not so much a change as it is a cease of movement in a way.
Well, to me, it's an awareness, right? You're becoming aware of your sensory potential by shutting down the thinking mind. And by shutting down the thinking mind, then your experiences will change because they're more purer and more accurate. Because there's no abstraction in there or no, noise. It's sort of like turning the noise off and getting back to the true state. And so, nothing added, nothing lost at all. Only that you're turning the volume or the static off with the thinking mind.
It's kind of funny you said that,
Mm.
because today I was getting into a little bit of meditation, sitting out in the yard,
Mm-hmm.
while I was doing yard work. But the thing was, I had the radio on while I was doing yard work, and then when I decided to sit down, take a break, um, commercials started coming on in the background, kind of, and I was starting to think of the word chatter, you know, and just like we have chats, But the other implications of that, the chatter, I was thinking, because I hate commercials. I'm watching a show, commercial comes on, it's like, I don't know, it just drives me crazy.
It's
And
like, fuck off. Fuck off.
yeah,
Get out of it.
I'm trying to sell you something, mute mute it or whatever, not, but I didn't feel like getting up, but I don't know. So while this commercial was going on, I was just thinking about chatter and, how in meditation you kind of have to, you're trying to get rid of that chatter in the brain, you know, the distractions. It could be people, drama, gossip, the commercials or whatnot. Anything, the chatter in the brain, and that's why you try to get into meditation to kind of to I get, lack of better words, empty the mind. I guess, you know, even though I think that's kind of impossible. But
Well, no,
but,
it's not.
I
What
think
it is, it
to
is what it says it is. It's
yeah.
stopping thinking. Stop that thinking brain. That's what you're trying to achieve in meditation. You just
Yeah,
want
so
to just
you know, so like yeah,
chill.
so I'm like in the yard and I'm like, you know, I'm surrounded by nature, I'm listening to the creek, you know, I got the radio in the background, so but that's still it's it kind of I have to shut it off, you know. The only way I can do is just have everything off so I can be I guess concentrate on my meditation for lack of a better word right now.
Yeah, I understand your challenge, but see, like take Tai Chi for example, right?
Hmm.
Tai Chi, the ultimate goal there, as far as I can tell, and you say they want you to follow the chi. Well, what that is, that's that sensation of energy. You know, that little buzzing feeling you can get in your hands and that.
That's what the chi is. It's the energy, the force in your
The
body,
flow of
the
energy.
chi.
So to be, you know, the ideal Tai Chi practitioner, the mind should be shut basically down, and you're really in a sensorial experience of that energy flow or that, and that's all that you should be going on. And because you silence the mind, you get a really purer experience with that energy. So it becomes sensorially, you know, a sensorial experience.
Hmm.
Again, the meaning being the meaning of that, not an intellectual meaning,
I'm
but
sorry. Good
very
night,
much.
Scott. Thanks for dropping by. Man, that was quick.
Hmm. Yeah, so you know, it's that
Yeah.
simple.
Okay, yeah. I'm, I mean, I'm gonna be. I had something. You reminded me of something else. I had something written down. Let me go get it.
Very good, Prescott.
We're losing everybody. What's going on here, Rob? You chasing them away, Rob?
I'm staying quiet. I didn't say a damn thing, mate. But I am capable of driving people away. I understand that. So I'm quite happy to leave. I've got no drama, mate. No airs about me, matey.
Um, I've been because I've been reading the Tao Te Ching. I've been reading another book on the Tao and listening to some lectures by Alan Watts. He's
Yeah, I heard that one. I heard that one. That was a good one, John.
yeah,
Quite
I love listening to him. And so I've been taking a whole bunch of different kind of notes. But there was something about ego I wanted. Let's see if I can find it. Hold on.
well. I know ego reasonably well, I think. So you can hear my spin on it or challenge my thinking if you like. I'm firmly of the opinion that ego is the root of all evil. I take a very sort of black and white view of it.
Now I wanted to share exactly what I wrote down. Damn it. Well, I have
think
one note on one thing on ego. Well, it wasn't one I was looking for, but um, ego is I want what I want. I want what I want. I hate it when I don't get it.
oh, that's very sharp, mate, because that's pretty close. I mean, we had this issue with our 13 to 14-year-old, and it was a battle for quite a while. And we eventually realised that it was exactly that. He wanted his way, and that's what counted. And there were times there when it got quite emotional, and he had what appeared to be genuine tears, but when we really burrowed down on it, the tears were really tears of frustration because he wasn't getting what he wanted.
Mm.
We just caught him in the one moment. We just caught it, and bang, that was exactly what it was. But you know, if you weren't perhaps in that moment at that particular time, you might have thought, oh, gee, I'm being a bit hard on him here, or maybe there's other issues. But the truth of the matter was that he just simply wasn't getting what he wanted, and what he wanted was he just didn't want to do his schoolwork. So I think what you said is accurate. The ego, as far as I can
Oh,
tell,
here it is.
we'll see.
Here it is. Here it is. I'm sorry.
No, sorry.
What did I have here first? Okay. Religion in practice produces hypocrisy and guilt. The biggest ego trip going is getting rid of your ego. The joke is your ego doesn't exist, it's an illusion. You may ask how to stop the illusion, but who's asking? You like that, huh?
I do. You better keep that one, mate. That's very, very good. Now, we should talk about that very question of who's asking. But yeah, that's very good.
I'm glad you got a kick out of that.
I like it. Because that's
So
the dilemma, you know. It's
so
sort of like
my notes go on. It says, how can I stop identifying myself with the wrong me? Answer: you can't.
Well, no, wait a minute. No, I'm not so sure about that. That would no, that would make a good conversation piece.
Mhm.
We should talk about that.
Right.
So just say that again. Say that again. Have a discussion about it. See where it takes us.
How can I, quote unquote, how can I stop identifying myself with the wrong me? Answer: you can't.
Okay. Well, do I agree? No, I don't agree. Because the Cherokee said it very clearly. He said, and there's a couple of wise things that relate to this. So the Cherokee say it very clearly. They say know the two wolves and then choose them, choose the right one. Sorry, just one sec.
All right, just mute yourself. All right. I'll say hello to Lindsay and Armin. How we doing?
I'm doing well. I'm just listening to your conversation.
Okay.
Chilling.
Any thoughts?
There's nothing that's broken out so far that I would object to.
Okay. Cool. How about you, Lindsay? How you doing? Lindsay Lou. Oh,
Okay, I'm back. Where'd you get to?
not just saying hello to the ladies in the room.
Hi, ladies.
Would you like to hear a Zen poem?
Sorry?
Would you like to hear a Zen poem?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
still interested in exploring that question though. But anyway, yeah, Zen poem. Way you go.
Okay, well, this kind of relates to it.
Hmm.
It's wait, hold on. This has to deal with about there's a phrase called Centauri. Are you familiar with that saying, Centauri? It's
Nope.
it's like a realization of your oneness with the universe.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I think this poem has to relate to that.
Yeah.
You cannot, and when I say it, that's what it pertains to. That that Centauri, the
Yep.
oneness. Okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
You cannot catch hold of it, nor can you get rid of it. In not being able to get it, you get it. When you speak, it's silent. When you're silent, it speaks.
Yep, that's right.
Read it again.
No
I
problem.
Yeah.
I thought we could read
Yeah.
again.
Emphasis on the third statement, but the rest is pretty
Yeah.
clearly accurate.
You cannot catch hold of it,
Hmm.
nor can you get rid of it. In not being able to get it, you get it. When you speak, it's silent. When you're silent, it speaks.
And what is it referring to?
It's
The God factor.
yeah, the Tao, that Centauri, that being, that oneness. It's something like even in meditation too. It's like sometimes people, it, it's almost just be. It's like you can't grab it. Just like you're saying, you're trying to get a hold of it, but you can't. It's always going to elude you. It's always going to be evasive because you if you once you grab it and then that means you're gonna put like a label on it. You're gonna put attachment to it. You're gonna try to define it, and it's beyond that.
Yeah. So the way I'd phrase that, John, is this: is that it's the experiential God, if you like, and if you're thinking about it, you're not going to experience it because the thinking is like a barrier. So you've got to be pure in mind and pure in the experience, and that's why the love thy neighbour factor is so accurate, because when you're thinking of the other, then you're in a pure experience. You're not intellectually involved with yourself or the self. So yeah, it's talking about that pure experiential moment, and that's the same with meditation, right? Where your thoughts aren't present, but that other aspect, or the it
It also
is, and
reminds
it's
me of there's a verse in the Bible that I like. It's called, and it goes be still and know that I am God, or be still and know,
exactly.
God.
Yeah. Well, see, that's also valid, and that's the thing. You can't. That's what one of the major problems with atheism at the moment. It throws the baby out with the bathwater, and the Bible does have a lot of great wisdoms in it, but it also has a fair amount of rubbish as well. But that's brought about by egos and empires. That's the reason that's in there. If you can extract that completely out, what you find is that all of these doctrines speak about this same it thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's experience. It is experiential, and the way you experience is that you eliminate the self, and that's not that you go and kill yourself. You just stop that thinking mind and just get right into the experience, and you experience it when you're thinking of the other, not the self. So yeah, all true. But that third line? What was the third line again? That sort of intrigues me a little. The
Um,
third,
in not being able to get it, you get it.
right? So let's think about that. So not being able to get it. Oh, okay. So what they're saying there, you see, not being able to get it. That's talking about not using the thinking mind. You can't. It's impossible for you to get it intellectually. Right? So when you cancel out the thinking mind, you'll get it, because you get it in the experience when the thinking mind is put at rest. So that's accurate too.
And I think some people try to get it thinking it's through like some kind of ritual or some kind of specific prayer or something like that, thinking that these things in itself will get you there.
Yeah, well, it won't, because that's just... You see, that's why Gnostic Jesus says no to prayer, and he's into Sabbath, and Sabbath being fasting from the world, basically, or meditation. So they're all consistent. They all tell exactly the same thing. And they talk about this, and it's threaded right through the Bible. So, see, I met a guy on the weekend that I just happened to call into the Salvation Army. So I don't know. Do you have Salvation Army in America?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I called into this guy.
Here. I guess not.
Hey? Sorry? What?
I thought it started here.
Oh, did it? Okay, yeah. Oh, shit, you mean we didn't invent it?
I'm going to have to look it up now.
Anyway, so this is me. I'm visiting my father and mother, and in their small country town, and they just built this humongous big facility, and I thought I'll drop in and have a look at it. And I met the guy that was running it, and basically everything he said was valid, because they're very experiential. They're very hands-on, the Salvation Army, at least here they are, and they do a lot of really good work in the community.
I actually, when I first came over here in Pennsylvania, I was like I was a Christian and looking for places, different types of, worship services, and I actually visited there's a Salvation Army church about 10 miles from me. And I visited a couple Sundays. It was interesting. It was kind of, liturgical, very formal in its setting. But also very casual, as far as dress code or anything like that. It was pretty casual. But everyone else, anyone who was like singing, right, they'd be in there. They have their, Salvation Army uniforms and.
Yeah. It's very much a doctrine there, I suppose. But they, you find them. Well, at least over here, I find them to be, pretty good folk. And they're not in your face either. They're not like some of the preachy lot. But but I found his theology, and the only point we really disagreed on. So we were just talking like two blokes or fellas just having a chat, and the thing that the only thing we fell out on was this concept of faith. So,
by the way, it started in London, England. That's where Salvation Army started. London, England.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All of the non-profits seem to start in England.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's probably a way to keep the masses from revolting, I suspect.
Probably.
I think so. I think it's got a bit to do with that. It's sort of like it's an investment in peace and security, so that the empire can keep pinching extra money out of their pockets. But nonetheless, I mean, it seems to attract a good group of people that do good deeds, good things.
It was started by a man named William Booth. It says here, William Booth embarked upon his ministerial career in 1852, desiring to win the lost multitudes of England to Christ. He walked the streets of London to preach the gospel of Jesus to the poor, the homeless, the hungry, and the destitute. Booth abandoned the conventional concept of a church and a pulpit, instead taking his message to the people. His fervor led to disagreement with church leaders in London who preferred traditional methods. As a result, he withdrew from the church and traveled throughout England, conducting evangelistic meetings. His wife Catherine could actually be called a co-founder of the Salvation Army, et cetera, et cetera. If you go to their website, you can see.
Yeah, yeah. But they're more hands-on. They really get their hands into the whole love thy neighbour thing. And
Yeah,
I
we
think
had
that's
that.
the major contrast between them and the church. Like the church will bring a group into a hall, they'll all sit down for an hour, and then they'll go home, go their own ways. Whereas the Salvation Army, or at least the Salvos over here, it's more like a lifestyle, and they live it and breathe it.
Yeah, from where I'm at, there's like they have the church building, and then like a block away, there's a Salvation warehouse, I guess, and thrift store. So
Yeah.
people will donate stuff, and then you're looking for cheap clothing or very inexpensive items. You can go there and buy them and stuff. But I mean, if you got stuff you want to donate or anything like furniture, anything big, I mean, they'll send the truck to your house and pick up your stuff.
Yeah. See, so John, in my taming down, I'm starting. I hold this view now because I've had I hold this view that that the real issues. It comes back to ego and this concept of faith. Faith is belief. Belief is an intellectual exercise, and therefore it's flawed. I don't find any value in belief at all. In fact, I find it to be a major problem because you give up too much. But then again, you've got to, it's not that straightforward because you'll have people that will believe, I think, in more of the experience. So it's not necessarily the book that's their governor, it's their experience that, the wisdoms bring to them. And see, this is where I think when we talk experientially, so if we just as people to people talk about experiences, we're more likely to find common ground because you can't fake an experience, right? I mean, you can lie about it. You could say that you've got, you're having experiences when you're perhaps not, so you're just trying to show off to the group. But when you talk authentically about experience, well, then there can't be any well, sorry, I think you would ultimately end up in agreement. You would have to. Yeah.
I wrote something down a number of months ago, and it goes like this: if you want to learn in life, you must first stop pretending you know it all.
I'm not pretending. I know it all.
That's the ego.
No, that's your perception. I actually do know a lot of stuff that validates.
I didn't say you didn't know a lot of stuff.
Sorry?
I didn't say you didn't know a lot of stuff.
No, but you did say ego. I know what ego is.
Know it all. You don't know it all.
Well,
now.
no. Well, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I don't see hydrogen's puzzling me at the moment. I'm curious about hydrogen and its origins, and there are lots of technical details I don't know, but I do know a lot about the religious paradigm, and it's validated. I think validated sensorially. So. But I'm open to the challenge. Like if I'm making a search, I'm quite interested in hearing the other point of view. But if you give me stuff that has no evidence based, I'm going to challenge you to prove your point.
Hey guys, welcome to Atheist Analysis. My name is Johnny Brotherton. I'm your host tonight.
Whoa. Sorry.
I'm joined by some pretty cool people here. We've got Steve Till.
What are you doing there? Plugging another website?
Oh, I shut it down, mate. Shut it down. That's a group. Do you know of atheist analysis in America at all? They're a new sort of startup atheist group.
No, what I'll watch like the Atheist Experience or the Thinking Atheist. I like the Thinking Atheist because
Thing.
there's what?
Okay. No such thing. Hermine, I'm with you on that. I've run into the thinking atheist, and I would love to get into a room and debate those people because I see a lot of flaws in their premises, and they're very they're very, and I mean, I suppose I could be cast as arrogant, but they're arrogant without substance, I think.
Are you talking about the show, The Thinking Atheist?
I'm thinking of Seth Andrews. He's the guy that runs it, so
Yeah.
I'm familiar with him, and
Okay.
I've had a couple of run-ins with him, and he
You had
he
a
did
chat
what
with
it.
him?
Hey,
You had a chat with him?
yeah, just a quick one in passing, and then I had a debate with him on Facebook,
Oh wow.
and he censored me. He wouldn't entertain me because it was just the usual thing where I threaten people. Not threaten them physically, but I mean, I threaten their premise, so he shut me down. So I challenged him with, because he was a guest on that other crew's site, and I challenged him to an open debate, and he hasn't come back. I said, anyone on your site, I'll take them all on. So.
Yeah. Seth Andrews used to be a big Christian radio broadcaster back in the day.
Yeah, well, I don't have any respect for him. I've seen a couple of atheists that I do have a bit of respect for. There's a guy called, what's his name? He's on The Experience, the lead there, The Atheist Experience. What's his name?
Dillahunty?
Yeah, he's good.
Matt Dillahunty? The one who he just had the
Side.
yeah.
Yeah, Sizer. I think Si's a genuine individual in his beliefs and everything, but I gotta say he's got, he's living in his thinking brain basically. He's not really honouring the experiential element, and I think ultimately he'll get undone. That argument that they use this presuppositional apologetics, that'll do more harm to their cause than any good, that's for sure. I'd like to catch up with him and have a debate as well.
There's just like no arguing with that type. You can't have a discussion.
Hey, sorry?
You can't have a discussion with him because, I mean, he just assumes, anything you think you know, it's because of God, and
yeah, that's exactly right.
And
But here's our
then it's his concept of God,
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, he'll if you got to a point where you challenged his perception, he would just simply shut you down, and that'd be that. And that's unfortunate because I think it's that sort of mindset that really brings a division in a community. Whereas if you at least acknowledge the experience, at least you still got your communication channel open, but his sort of premise really takes it right to the thinking mind, which is just you're just not going to get anywhere with it. So I see him as a pretty divisive sort of a character. Anywho, hey, what was that? Yeah, sorry, go on. No,
yeah, I was just gonna ask Hermine, like, where you out with your like spiritual journey?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, I'm very solid in my belief in Christianity and Jesus dying for our sins.
Yeah, I'm biting my tongue.
Does
I'm trying to be more respectful.
good job.
Bite your tongue. I won't take anything offensively that you say. You're not going to change my mind.
Well, I know that what you're thinking, Hermione, is wrong. Specifically, I know it's wrong. However, I know that I probably, to be fair, well, only you'll know the answer to this, but I suspect that you validate in your life experience what you're taught in the book. But the technical parts, you're not right, because Jesus was a real guy and he had a real philosophy, and it's really accurate and precise, no question. However, the Romans took his story and they retold it, and there's no such thing as miracles or prophecies or afterlife as they prescribe. That's just not true. And they've done it deliberately for empire. And that's just the simple black and white truth of it all. And, you know, intellectualizing your spirituality is not the way to find the truth. So, it is what it is. And unfortunately, it plays out in a very bad way in our world. I mean, I guess the best way to describe it is you've got this wonderful wisdom and it's been politicized, and that's probably the simplest way to put it. And we see that politicizing of religion playing out so many times. Even today, like with what's happening in Baghdad, we've got the Islam Brothers killing another faction of Islam, or at least that's what we're told. There was apparently a lot of people were executed. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's just the latest news coming through. But you know, if they're true to their doctrine, there shouldn't be killing. There shouldn't be killing going on at all, not under any circumstances. You know, if you're a true a follower of the true way, so to speak, well then killing another human being should be the very last thing that you would do. You would probably want to kill yourself first, you know, to honour the code, as it were. And that goes right through history. It just does. It just does. And it's because of this belief notion and this notional idea of the God. It's not true. Nothing else validates it. Nothing. So you're left with this concept of belief. You have to believe in this idea that there's a God in the sky. And I know specifically that's not true, because I know the verse that whole concept got created, and it was in Isaiah 40:22. It was just made up. Simply, that's what happened. Doesn't invalidate the wisdom. The wisdom's still true, but you know, it's been politicized, and that causes us all manner of strife all through history, and it's being used, I think, at the minute to start some more trouble. Hey, John, I did go and see. What movie did we go and see? We went and saw X-Men.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and you know how you mentioned there was, well, I think it might have been you or someone mentioned there was a trailer at the end, or not a trailer, but a little piece right at the very end of the movie.
Right, yeah. Reuven told me about it.
Yeah, well, that's very, I tell you, it's almost like that movie was designed to project a message. Because at the end, have you seen it? You guys seen the movie?
I saw it, obviously. Yeah.
Hermine, have you seen it?
What's the movie?
It's called X-Men. It's the latest X-Men with Hugh Jackman and
Future, what's it called? Future of Days Past, somehow.
Yeah, something like that.
I've seen a lot of X-Men movies, and they all start to blend together, so forgive me if I'm like, huh?
No problem. It's the newest one. It's still out in the theaters.
Oh, then
Yeah.
no, I haven't seen it.
All right. Well, it's got an interesting end part to it, so probably, to be fair to you, we shouldn't say in case you're interested in going. But
Just go ahead.
oh, okay. Well, what happens at the end? If I can get my screen up.
Spoiler alert for anybody watching later on YouTube.
Yeah, right. Spoiler alert. But anyway, what happens is that you get this image of a person on a hill with a bunch of people bowing down, praying to that person. I think the person was a woman. Do you think?
No,
Or no?
I'm guessing it was. See, what I'm guessing is since they were able to go back into the past. That was the part of the movie. I'm thinking that was Magneto.
Oh, okay. Tell me about that. Who's Magneto?
Magneto's the guy who can manipulate metal.
And where does he fit into the theological story?
No, I'm trying to say that he was probably that guy at that sneak preview at the end of the movie. I'm thinking it was him, and he went back even further into history.
Yeah, and then you get the pyramid all coming together. Oh, okay. But I saw that as a bit of a. Now, this is where I'm going to drift into my conspiracy realm. The whole movie itself seemed to have this undertone that really had a place in history. Like, they related to the Vietnam War and that sort of drama. And to me, it was almost like propaganda for the emerging of a united world where, we'll save ourselves if we all join together, so to speak. And it was promoting that sort of theme. And that's very much what you get from the conspiracy literature, what the Pharisees are trying to achieve. And that's this, get the world all together and under one sort of thing, but their view would be that it's under their rule. So, I started to think, oh, gee. And it had that pyramid, because every time I see the pyramid and the obelisk, I think of the bad guys. And I just thought, oh, this is a bit too weird to, anyway, just an observation.
Yeah, I'm sure you could see a lot of different things in that movie. I probably have to see it again. And
I'll say
you tend to when you see a movie like second, third time, you start to catch things that you didn't catch the first time.
Yeah, well, see, for me, with the Nostradamus stuff, well, the two enemies to the free world were Russia and China, and of course, lo and behold, there's Russia and China, and they were on that side of the fence. And I sort of saw all that, and I thought, oh dear, it just had too many undertones that tied into all the conclusions I was getting from my research. It's just it was an odd phenomena for me personally.
Well, yeah, Russia and China are certainly making a lot of deals as of late. That's for sure.
Well, I worry about this latest thing in Iraq. My concern would be that if America engaged, particularly given your financial structure, and then, of course, us in Australia, we get dragged into that as well. And they're already starting to hint at that at the moment. But if you were to put your forces back on the ground in Baghdad, I would think that would be like putting your foot in a noose. Because you've got, the boys would be in that particular space, and then if Russia and China decided to engage, they could potentially, given their financial strength and their military might, they could actually take you on and decimate the armed forces. If they did that, then where's America's defence? If you know, I think it's a very dangerous move, dangerous thing. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to watch how the politics plays out. You know, to see if there's a strong voice to push for going into Baghdad. Well, actually, you already do see that from McCain, and I think he's a bit of a suspect dude, given his background. I just think it would be a dangerous move if America does go back into Baghdad.
Yeah. Just
send Russia in to sort it out. They're on the UN. They can fight amongst themselves. Yeah, it's Russia's turn, I think. Russia can step up, and I mean, you know, you get Putin. His propaganda sort of suggests that, you know, he's a good guy. Well, he can be a good guy and go and sort out the problem. Anywho's, I might move on, you guys, and catch you later, alligators.
okay, Rob.
Yeah, I enjoyed those few thoughts though, John. They were very good.
Okay.
If you ever post them anywhere, share them.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I'll put them like in my I'll put them in like Google Plus or something. You know, on the stream there.
Yeah, if you could. I really liked. Yeah, I like both of those. I think they're really quite good. Very accurate.
That was the the Zen poem and
Zen poem and and your own thoughts.
okay.
Yeah, I thought they were both very good. Okay, happy days.
All right, Rob, take it easy.
Yeah, see you, Herman.
Bye.
Bye.
It's just me and you, dear.
Well, I'm sorry I couldn't say too much, but I just didn't want anyone barking down my throat too hard. So after I stated my point, I just shut up.
I hear you. I hear you.
Because I'm absolutely dead wrong. It sounds so much more pleasing with his accent.
Yeah, well, him and Idol Smasher had a few words not too long ago, and I guess that's why he left.
Oh, Idol Smasher left when I came in?
No, not when you came in. When Rob came in.
Rob tends to do that sometimes.
Yeah, and he's learning. Like he said, he's trying to tame himself a little bit because he can come off a little aggressive, you know. And then I think if you do that, you're shutting down any kind of dialogue.
It's so frustrating because if he could learn to shift his approach just a little bit, he'd see so much more success, I think.
Yeah. And he has a little bit, surprisingly enough. You might not see it, but since I've known him here for the past month or so, I've seen a little bit of a change.
Oh, really? You've known him a whole month. How long has he been on here?
Yeah, about a month or two, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, man. We had this one guy, I think his name was Tim. Tom, something, back in the early days that would start the atheist hangouts. Oh, my gosh. He was unbearable.
This was the Google or Stickam?
Google Plus, and it just gave atheists such a bad rap that nobody would listen. Or just like, oh, turn that mess off. I enjoy good conversation about it, and so I like to listen. Is sometimes I found a few atheists who actually know the Bible better than I.
Mm-hmm.
which is always great to learn from. And they'll give you scripture and you can cross-reference it. Like I have this amazing, cross-reference for, just the actual words. And when you can finally get people to actually read it and hear what it says, it's definitely left and open to interpretation.
Is that the you talking about is it the interlinear Bible? It's got the different translations side by side.
Well, I do have that too.
Okay.
But no, the one that I found is the best, and this is probably scary to say, but the Jehovah Witnesses have I call them the green books. And so what they've done is they've taken every verse, each scripture, and then they cross-reference it to other scriptures. So you have one scripture and there's 50 different supports for it, or it explains it further, their interpretation, what is meant, this, that, and the other. And it's cool because I don't have it in the New Testament, but obviously my rabbi, or not my rabbi, but the neighborhood rabbi, lives a few doors down from me, so he'll interpret things and tell me the significance and what it meant in Hebrew and what it means today and what it meant then. And so I can ask him just about anything and he'll offer me some clarification. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's kind of a cool place to stand. And it's so true that if you read it from a place of belief, then there's nothing but supports. And if you read it from a place of disbelief, there's nothing but incongruencies or inconsistencies. So it just, for me, it's just nice to hear people talking about it.
You do know that one. I know there's one scripture in Jehovah's Witnesses that many Christians had a problem with, and it was in the book of John, where in the Jehovah verse it says, "In the beginning was the Word,
Yeah.
and the Word was a God," instead of "was God," as in most Christian Bibles.
It's interesting for me because I have to go back and look at, and I do have their Bible, but it's interesting because it's in that first chapter where most Christians will believe in the Trinity,
Mm-hmm.
that in John, and they don't. I'm not a believer of the Trinity. So I
Okay.
think that's where I can align with the Seventh-day Adventists and the witnesses, because I don't support that. But then there's other things with witnesses. There's actually not that much that I don't support about witnesses, except for kind of their daily beliefs, which is a real struggle because I believe a lot of their interpretation of certain things, but where I struggle is in their practices.
You mean the church practices?
Yeah. I'm not gonna not celebrate holidays or whatever.
Right. Yeah. They don't even celebrate their own birthdays.
No. I like the way they celebrate when they do have a reason to come together and celebrate. I do like the way that they celebrate. It's not all buying crap. And you just go to church and it's the observance of Christ's death, and that's a wrap. You know what I mean? Or the hall, I should say. It's not like let's go get bunnies and litter our kids' diet with a whole bunch of chocolate and crap. I don't know. But yeah, that's a tough one. But they do. I mean, they have enough reason to celebrate. Like they celebrate anniversaries, just not births. They, all sorts of things. You want to buy someone a gift, you just buy them a gift. There doesn't have to need to be a Christmas to do it or a birthday. So it's kind of cool in that respects and a lot of family time. But gosh, man, I'm not knocking on people's door for them to just slam it in my face.
I've had it's funny because I'm originally from Brooklyn, and
Uh-huh.
in Brooklyn they had the Jehovah Witnesses. I don't know if they're still there. Their major headquarters was there. The
No,
Watch,
not the major headquarters. That's in upstate New York now, but there is a big, huge building in Brooklyn.
right, the Watchtower.
Yep.
Yeah, and and when I lived in Brooklyn, I would hardly see them. They would hardly come to my door. And it's just funny now that I'm out. I'm in Pennsylvania here. I'm like in, nobody hardly around me. Hardly, some traffic comes down here. And I've had them probably come to my door. God, I've talked to them 2 or 3 times, and there's probably 3 or 4 other times where, I knew it was them, so I didn't even I wasn't in the mood to answer the door. You know. I mean, you could pin them out a mile away.
Well, no, and I love studying with them because they do know their stuff.
hmm
Um, they really do. But yeah, verse here or there it just changes so much people's perspective. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm looking at them going, everybody who believed that Christ died for your sins and that's the only way through heaven is through him, then yeah, you're Christian. If you can say that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're a nice bunch, but they're kind of out there, that's for sure. The only ones that really get me are the Mormons.
Yeah, I never had run-in with the Mormons.
Oh my gosh, they used to come knocking on my door all the time when I lived in Boulder. And I spent, oh gosh, a horrible year of my life in Utah, in Logan, Utah. I'll never forget that. Man, the last thing I ever wanted to do was see a Mormon again. But then it was funny, my first boss at IBM was Mormon, and he hired me, so I was absolutely shocked, 15 years later. And then one of my best friends at GE was Mormon. And he and I just got along like two peas in a pod. But I would have never expected it after, my upbringing in Mormon country. They had a new offensive name for me every day. It was great. I was like, Mom, what's a nigger? Oh, that's you, my child, in Mormon country. Wow. Wow. It was a trip. I don't understand why people get so offended or panties in a ruffle over religion. It's a struggle for me because if you don't believe, don't believe.
hmm
If you do, do. These aren't difficult choices, I don't think.
I think the concern is of people whose um, religious beliefs might influence them. I mean, especially in the political parties, that kind of thing, influencing certain political decisions, that will affect a lot of people.
I'll give you an example, and this is, people are running around all day gay bashing. I hate gays, this, that, and the other, da da da. Why? I don't get it. Well, because the gay might spread. Really? Shit doesn't spread. The shit doesn't I mean, was it going to influence parties? How's that going to make a difference in your life? If you're not gay, don't worry about it. If you're not gay, don't marry someone of the same sex.
Yeah, I say clean up your own house first, right?
It just doesn't matter. I mean, the stuff, all this, the people are so afraid of Christianity spreading, gay or Islam, take your pick, gay, blacks, anything that they're afraid of, that they're spreading and somehow influencing their lives. Not really.
I hear you. I'm with you there.
None of
There's
that.
two consenting adults. Ain't none of my business what they do in the bedroom.
That's kind of my take on Christianity or Islam or anything else. You have consenting adults that say this is their God. Well, then leave it alone.
Uh, okay, I'm guilty. I kind of like the debate.
It's always fascinating. It's always interesting. But at the end of the day, it's an interesting debate to have. But if you actually think you're going to change someone's opinion, eh,
Well, I mean, speaking for myself, um, when I first came on YouTube, I was an evangelical Christian. Thought I
yeah.
was thought I was going to change the world for Jesus through YouTube and preach the true Christ, you know. Uh,
And look what happened. You get hanging around atheists a little too much, and you know what they say in the Bible. They'll turn you before you turn them.
well, I mean, it wasn't even so much atheists. It was people of other beliefs and other viewpoints of Jesus. Um, Non-Trinitarians like yourself, because I was a Trinitarian believer. I guess because I was raised Catholic, so I was raised with that Trinitarian belief, and that just kind of spilled over when I was like Protestant and evangelical. I was in the charismatic movement, you know, and they all pretty much believe in the the Trinity.
Hmm.
But so, I mean, I came across other people who had differing beliefs of Jesus, um, as as well as skeptics. You know, not all atheists, but it did get me to think, and it did get me to get into my Bible more. It did get me to go look at church history more. It definitely piqued my interest. For me, I mean, it's like I had to re-examine what I believe and why, and I think it was perfectly valid, you know. And I went through a whole 2 year process of rereading the Bible, seeing how the Bible came about, history of Christianity. The big one, I mean, I guess the main issue, the first issue that I was dealing with was the hell issue, and just over time, and yeah, and I prayed too. I was praying to Jesus for answers. I says, you know, I'm going through a tough time here. I mean, I need some clarification, and I was just wasn't happening. And
Gotcha.
then,
See, I don't believe that's the other thing I support the witnesses. There's no burning hell.
uh
It's just ceasing to exist. I'd like to think that God has better things to do than to punish people for eternity.
so then would you? So then, are you of the notion that then God created a certain amount of the population just to annihilate them?
No, I think we have choice, and it's not annihilate, they just cease to exist.
Kind of disintegrate?
Yeah, their souls go bye-bye for forever. It's done. It's a wrap. Black hole. I don't know what it looks like, but it's not burning in hell.
See, my problem is that how can it be free will if, in fact, if God is omniscient, knowing beginning from end, and you know he kind of foresee any of the choices somebody makes, but yet allows them to be created anyway if they choose to be annihilated. How is see? I have a problem. I don't see that as free will. You didn't have really any choice. You didn't have a choice to be born.
Wait a minute. Just because God can knows what's going to happen doesn't mean that you don't have the choice.
Well,
How's
you
it that someone can see the future, but doesn't mean that you don't have a choice in what that is?
but it does. Okay. Do you think that God sees that final choice that you're going to make? he sees the end result of everyone's lives.
Yeah.
Okay, so if he sees the end result of everybody's life, and he can see the end result of somebody who's going to reject Jesus, and he sees that they're going to head to they're going to be annihilated. They're not going to have no eternal relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yet still allows them to come into existence. That's the thing. I don't see how you have any choice already. God already kind of made the decision for you.
He didn't make the decision. He can just see what the decisions are that you're going to make. Just because someone can see the future doesn't mean that they are dictating it. I'm not understanding, maybe.
Yeah. I give this analogy. Okay. I give this analogy when it comes to hell. Okay, whether you perceive it as eternal flame or annihilation, I guess it can it'll still work. Say if you had foreknowledge, say you knew you were going to have 7 kids, and 5 of them, you had the foreknowledge that if you have these kids, they're not going to live forever. They're going to just be annihilated, gone. You ain't going to be able to see them no more. You won't have no relationship with them. Would you still choose to have those kids?
Here's my question.
Okay.
Could it be that the reason that the other two will live on is because of what they learned from the other 5?
Possibly. It's a good point.
So that's the only way I could argue that side is exactly that. I don't have to restate it because you get it.
So the needs of the one weigh out the needs of the many.
In that example, yes, the needs of the 2 made weigh out the needs of the 5, but
Yeah. The needs
yeah,
of the
I don't
two.
know. Yeah, I don't know the how God's keeping score, but if it could be, are you still there? It could be
Yeah.
that you're really like that 1 million people will be, as you put it, annihilated, I say cease to exist, to save 1.
Well, I use those numbers 7 because I usually explain the analogy further because I use the number 7 because there's about 7 billion people in the world,
Okay.
and then you have a little over 1 billion people professing to be Christians.
Okay.
So according to the theology, if Jesus is the only way, every other way is not going to make it. So, that's why I use the number of the 7 kids,
Okay.
to kind of represent the population. And when you look at those kind of numbers, just with our current population, I mean, that's a lot of people. 5 billion being annihilated.
Well, and what did they say? I mean, it's not going to be easy to make it there. And of those 1 billion, how many are true believers? How many are actually following the word?
Yeah, that's my point. That's why I can't see any justification for any kind of hell.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't believe in it. It's just not my kind of thing. People have talked about Sheol and Gehenna, and what else is there?
Tartarus.
All sorts of descriptions of things that I think I've read it cover to cover a couple of times, and I only see a couple references to a burning pit, and that had to do more with um, after disease and stuff. So I don't know. I just kind of left it alone.
Yeah, there's a outside the Jerusalem gates, I believe. It was a garbage pit,
Yeah,
kind of burning fire. They would burn garbage, and they would also burn convicted criminals
it
in
was
this
like Sheol,
fire pit.
right?
So it would be constantly going day and night. So in a sense was, I guess, eternal, everlasting fire, that kind of terminology you get. Not literally meaning eternity, just
Right.
yeah.
I don't know. The other thing is, I just think that God is a loving God and that he can be swift with it. This is stuff that doesn't have to go on for eternity. Just boom, cease to exist. On to the next thing.
It's, hmm.
I don't know. I just would think that if you know, I'm a parent, I have 7 kids. If I was ever fortunate enough to have that many, maybe grandkids, right? That along the way, the hard part is, you could lose some. Um, but it's the hope is saving. They say at least saving one, changing the life of one. Hopefully, it's more than that, but that's all you can kind of hope and pray for.
But if you had the knowledge, so you would say you would have the kids then, even if you
I
had the
would
knowledge.
definitely have the kids, and yeah. I mean, and I think you can explain it outside of God. Beethoven's mom, how many kids did she have with her syphilis, this, that, and the other, whatever? One of them was Beethoven, right? There's going to be somebody who finds the cure for cancer. Who knows their whole story? Maybe half of their kids are rotten, but thank God that they had the one that, gave us a cure or whatever the situation is. You get what I'm saying?
Well, how fair would it be then, say, if one of the five, save the two that were going to heaven, one of them gets an illness, like say cancer or something, but it's one of the other five that finds the cure. You know what I'm saying? One of the other five who are going to be annihilated, but they're the ones that are alive, but they find the cure for the one of the other two.
Who's already passed. Yeah, that would be unfortunate, but that would almost be, it's exactly why you have the 7. It's exactly why you have the kids. Is sometimes that inspires, you have kids, and I've seen it all the time. I saw it recently with someone who had, a family member had autism, and he created this great company to help people get jobs that have autism. And, you know, there'll be what's the line? It'll be harder for a rich man to get into heaven than it will be for a camel to pass through an eye of a needle.
Mm-hmm.
And truth be told, you find the cure for cancer, and you're probably going to be a rich man. It's going to be tough for you to get into heaven.
Yeah, I'm still having a problem with it though, I guess. I don't know.
Problem.
'Cause I see that having the kids is kind of having them despite knowing, annihilation or worse, eternal hell. To decide to have the kids, I don't know, seems kind of selfish or sadistic to me in some ways.
But why? It's the same reason. You could ask that of any parent today. Why on earth would you bring a kid into this world?
Yeah, but I'm looking at more of the eternal aspect, the long term kind of consequences here, you know.
Okay, well, eternal is the longest consequence
Yeah.
period. Um, but let's say it's 80 years. Let's say it's an average lifespan, 75, 70 years, whatever the heck it is here in the States. Why on earth would you bring anybody into existence knowing the stuff that goes on here in the world?
Well, people want to have kids. They want to, they want to, well, hopefully they want to pass traditions, a heritage, a family name. Hopefully, I'm sure they're hoping that they'll bring some kind of positive change into the world.
How's that any different than if you decide to have 7 kids, knowing 5 of them will go to and won't make it through eternity, and 2 of them will.
Well, that's the thing. I know, though. I guess obviously, nobody, knows that. But I'm just saying, if you're God, taking the place of God, knowing, why would you allow that to happen? Is it reasonable? Is it just?
You're not allowing anything to happen. You're allowing people choice.
See, I don't see choice if you
know the future,
if you already know the end result.
but how's that not choice?
Well, if you're allowing a child, if you're allowing someone to be born knowing the end result is annihilationism, you're already taking that choice away.
I do it all the time as a parent. I see my kid do something stupid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to stop them from it? Probably if they're going to electrocute themselves. But if they're going to spill a pitcher of water, guess what? I'm going to let them spill the pitcher of water, because next time they're going to know how to get the water out of the fridge without spilling the whole damn pitcher.
Right.
Just got to let them experience it.
But you won't allow them to electrocute themselves.
No, I won't. I won't allow my kid to electrocute herself.
Why?
Because gosh, it seems such a simple question. I don't want her to electrocute herself.
Because it hurts. I've electrocuted myself and it fucking hurts.
So that's exactly my point with God then here. It would hurt. Shouldn't it hurt God to see that the destiny of someone is going to this annihilation or a hell?
But then you give away his choice if you get involved.
So are you taking away from your kid's choice?
Absolutely.
Ah.
When I do that all the time as a parent, whether it's eating crappy food or electrocuting yourself. No, we're not going to McDonald's. No, you're not watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
And, no, you're not going to fry yourself today. Not under my watch.
Well, there you go. That's what I'm trying to say.
But I wasn't given, I'm not the Almighty who even gave people choice.
But you're taking away. I mean, I know we're having an extreme example here because we're talking about, say, like little kids. Of course, they're curious and you want to stop them from hurting themselves. Okay, but I think even as kids get older and when they even know decisions, right from wrong, and they still going to choose to do something wrong because you can see that it's going to just take them on a bad path, and a parent sometimes will put their nose in more than they should, right? Mm-hmm. Because you don't want them to hurt themselves. But the situation, okay, so with that situation, say 18 years old.
Yeah.
You see him going to electrocute himself. You see it going to happen. You stop it or not?
Well, can we use a realistic example then at 18?
Okay. I don't know. Unprotected sex. I don't know. Doing drugs. I don't know.
Say they want to start smoking crack.
Okay.
No, you're not using my money. No, you'd block them. But at 18, they have free will. They're not a kid anymore, whatever the situation. If they want to go out and start smoking crack, there's very little you can do until they want to stop. You hope you give them enough good sense and tell them why crack isn't right and all this other stuff isn't, and hopefully you gave them a good foundation, solid foundation. But again, at some point, it's their choice. And I've seen very few crack addicts who can rebound. There are some, but you know where that's going to lead. But you got to let them live their lives.
Okay, let's up the game a little bit. Here's a scenario. You having these 7 kids, you have the full knowledge, and this one of them is going to get involved in crack. You have a full knowledge of down the road, despite all your warnings, they get cracked, they get hooked, they get addicted, they wind up stealing, and they wind up even killing even some, maybe even one or two of the other kids.
Hmm.
Now you have all this knowledge that this is going to happen, all this pain is going to happen. Do you still have them?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's like, I mean, I'd hate to say, like, you might have 4 or 5 others who see what happened to this one and will never touch it. You might, I mean, I don't know, like,
Well, given the theology, I mean, so given the theology of Jesus is the only way, I mean, I don't know how dogmatic you are, but I mean, most Christians I've come into contact, Jesus is the only way. That's it.
yeah,
And the way, the truth, the light, no one comes to the Father but by me. I mean, and they're dogmatic on you believe in Jesus or, you take the alternative.
yep.
So now, here's to say now, again, we're back to the numbers. 1 billion or so professing Christians. You got others, all other beliefs. So it's going to take 5 billion annihilations for 1 billion to get it right
Don't forget the
in
people
God's economy. What's
who
that?
don't forget all the billions who lived before
Yes.
that
Okay.
didn't get it right. But yeah, so yeah, that's might be what it takes. It's not a huge number that are going to make it through.
Yeah. Well, this is why I have a problem with the religion because I don't see it as I don't see any justice in that. I just don't. It's like I remember seeing this video and they did a cartoon and they're trying to make this point and the father tells the kid, here, I given you your own room, it's all yours, do whatever you want, you can paint it any color you want, but it has to be orange. If you don't paint it orange, then you're getting expelled, but it's your room, you can do anything you want with it.
You know what? I said something similar to my daughter. I said you can paint the room any color you want. You know what she picked?
What?
Home Depot orange. Just to fuck with me, just to piss me the
It's
fuck off.
funny I just said that too.
That's why it's funny that you said even orange. And not just orange, Home Depot orange. Like we still laugh about that to this day. And so
Is that what they call the color? Do they call it that color? Home
no,
Depot?
she purposely said Home Depot orange just because she knew it pissed me off. So 2 of her walls are Home Depot orange.
I did have an apartment. I gotta admit, I had a foyer and I painted it orange and blue for the.
Right.
It's
No,
crazy.
but we offset it with a little seafoam green, so it actually looked really good. And it continues to look good. But I mean, she's the one who has to still live with it, you know. But with that, I guess your point was, and I missed the point because I thought it was a funny story.
Well, the point is, it's like really not. The point is, it's not really free will if a gun is pointed to your head, kind of.
But there's no gun.
Well, the gun is hell. The gun is the threat of hell.
No, the gun is the threat of what you already believe, which is you cease to exist. Look, if you're a non-believer,
Hmm.
I don't believe you're damned to eternity in hell. I just believe what you believe. You cease to exist. See, what a lot of atheists I hear, and it's kind of funny, is they kind of want both, which is, well, I want to go to heaven, I don't want to go to hell, but I don't want to believe in Christ. Well, it doesn't work like that. Not in Christianity, anyway.
Hmm.
If you choose not to believe, be comfortable in that choice. You may be right. I just like my terms better. If I choose to believe and I'm wrong, I cease to exist. If I choose to believe and I'm right, I get to live for eternity.
Well, I'm sure everybody would like to believe they're not wrong.
No, but if I'm wrong, cool. We all cease to exist. Not a big deal.
What if the Muslims are existing? Say if they got it right.
Damn. It's a funny thing because it's strange for me. You'll find it strange for me, very Christians, to say this. I just believe we're like Muslims are our brothers, Christians obviously, and then you have Jewish folk, Hebrews. We're all cut from the same God.
Yeah.
Now it just depends on whether you believe it ended at Moses, Christ, or shit.
Muhammad.
Mohammed. Thank you. That's a gosh. That should not be a difficult one to remember. Um, there's like a bazillion Mohammeds, right?
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know.
Hey, Reuben.
Oh gosh. Well, there was Mohammed, and then there was Jesus, and there was Moses, and all their people. That's who came before. He's not asking that question. He's going to strike me with some smart ass response.
Who all came so far? Idol Smasher was in here. Prescott, but I guess he needed to get some sleep. We did have Rob in here, and I think Rob, when he came in, Idol Smasher just left, so he was
No, hold on a sec.
on the moon.
Ruben, I can't believe you're saying that none of them existed. Forget as being sons or chosen ones. They existed. I don't think I've ever heard that as being an argument.
Yeah, there are some would say there is no historical evidence for Moses or Jesus. I don't know about Muhammad. I didn't study that, but
Oh wow. I've never heard that argument. That even those people did not exist.
mm,
Now whether or not they were the chosen ones, I've heard that argument.
yeah, I think for most atheists, it doesn't even matter whether Jesus exists or not. The issue is about the miracles and the resurrection and stuff like that. You know, a person named Jesus could have existed. He could have just been a rebel, was against the system, got killed. Um, it's the issue of the miracles because now the only thing you have to go on is the Bible. There's no like other contemporary evidence or documentation, to show that Jesus existed.
Hmm.
People were going to Josephus and stuff, but that was like many, many decades later, and they were just vague. Um, what you were gonna say? They would just talk about Christians in general, from what I remember, or maybe there was like one line there about Jesus, and then that came under scrutiny because of the way Josephus was written, that it was not in the same style. It might have been added in there afterwards. I'll be right back. I get something to drink.
Yeah, I heard you on that one. No, Brother John was just making this case of say you were going to have 7 kids, but you knew 5 of them weren't going to make it to the afterlife because they were sinners or whatever the situation was. Would you still have the 7? And so we were talking about that a little bit. I don't believe in hell as a construct. I just think people just don't exist. No, if you don't believe in his message, you're not going to heaven. It'd be much easier if you would get a webcam and a microphone.
I'm back.
I wouldn't call it celestial North Korea.
Is that what he's calling
Heaven.
heaven or hell?
Yeah, that's funny. I don't understand your reference there to a single scripture outside of the entire chapter. But I think it's in reference to you have to love him more than anything else.
Right.
And
Hence the other verse he gave.
oh yeah, he did. Okay, great. Well, then I'll agree with that.
Do you hold the belief, Armin, that the Bible is inerrant, it's infallible?
It is the word of God.
So all the words in the Bible are from God's mouth, written by man?
God directed them to write that, yes.
Hey, Green Soul, what's up?
Hey, how you doing? How was your Father's Day?
Well, I'm technically not a father, so...
Oh, I thought you were a dad. You sound like a dad.
What's a dad sound like?
Sounds like you, actually.
You sound like a dad, okay.
You actually sound a lot like this guy on here called Euromaestro, Brother John. Do you know who that is?
No. Euromaestro? No.
Yeah. Back in the early days of Google Plus, we used to hang out with Euromaestro. You have this similar inflections in voice and even tonality. It's quite interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
You sure he wasn't from New York?
No, he's actually French.
Oh.
He spent time in New York though, but and your New Yorkin isn't very strong.
Yeah, I guess because I'm in Pennsylvania now, maybe I'm slowly losing it. I don't know.
Potentially, no, but
I'm told all the time I look like some actor or something like that. I'm told this all the time.
well, I've never seen you.
Oh, well, you go to my profile, you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see plenty of me.
Doesn't want to be on camera today. Let's see here. What do you mean? I can't see you on your profile. You don't have any pictures up.
No, my YouTube channel.
Okay, let me try.
Yeah. It used to be called Third Proverb. Now I put Brother John in there now.
Okay, third proverb. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Let me go to your about and then go to your.
Yeah, you'll see. It should be right there. A link to the YouTube.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Brother
Oh my gosh,
John
you
here.
look like you do look like someone.
See?
Been in a bunch of movies, the person I'm thinking of, but always as a supporting role. Damn.
Someone say I look like the guy who was, I keep forgetting his name, Joey something. He was in The Sopranos. I get that sometimes. God, what was his name? I get his name. It's an Italian name.
Welcome.
I know who you look like, and maybe it was a Sopranos guy.
So they get Sopranos cast. I'll get the guy's name. What was the name?
Yeah, but I got to get photos.
He
That's
played Ralphie.
Ralphie.
Ralphie, was it Ralphie? Was it Ralphie? Maybe I got it wrong. Let's see. Joe Padagliano played Ralph Cifaretto in season 3 and 4 of The Sopranos. People tell me I look like him, sounded like him. I don't see it.
No, that's not who I was thinking of.
You see a picture of him?
Yeah, now, yeah. Person I'm thinking of is it Sopranos?
Someone told me actually last night. I forgot the name. Nick something. I should have wrote it down or something. That's not.
I'm just gonna have to see the movie again and then be like, "Oh my gosh, that's him." There is an actor that you look like. I don't look like anybody. People, you know what people do to me? They walk up to me and say, "You look like my niece, my nephew, my blah blah blah. You look like you're Ethiopian. You look like this. You look like that." Like it's just crazy. But nobody famous.
How many people I know that Christ Smith? I think only as far as scholars, just recently Price and is Richard Carrier. But from like the basic reading I was reading about, it seemed like most people felt that he existed. On Hangouts.
I don't know. The Bible is a very complicated subject for me. You know, and I grew up, you know, Catholic and Christian, and I just, I don't know what it is. I just never got into it. But there's sometimes that I read certain passages that I really like, but trying to read the book as a whole is become very difficult.
Why is it difficult?
I think I don't find it interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But I'm trying to take a different take on it. I know Reuven, you know, had introduced me into this this hangout where they were talking about the Bible, even though it was kind of like some of it was kind of over my head. You know, it was, you know, I guess I got into it a little bit better than before.
Reuben's being sarcastic.
Maybe I should read it in a different language, you know, read it in Hebrew or Greek or Latin, you know. Maybe I'll get more into it.
I don't speak any of those languages, so it's tough, but I do have my rabbi who, if I need to know what a verse says, at least in the Old Testament, I can get help.
Mhm.
the original meaning, or at least as close to it as he can, translate. But it's so fascinating to me because so much of Hebrew has to do with numbers. Like every every letter corresponds to a number. So it's fascinating getting sometimes hidden meanings, even just in a word, what it means, and
Have you
Yeah,
talked to him? Have you talked to him about the prophecies, the supposed prophecies of Jesus in the Old Testament?
talk to who?
The rabbi, get his meaning on it, because I'm sure he would say that that's not Jesus or messianic, like like in Isaiah 7, in Isaiah 9,
Well, of course he's not a
53
believer that
specifically.
Christ was the Messiah.
I'm sorry.
Of course he doesn't believe that Christ was the Messiah.
I know. So I mean, like you're going to him to get a meaning of an Old Testament scripture, right?
Yeah,
Well, I, ask him what he sees in the scriptures that refer, that Christians point to, or the New Testament point to that are supposed to be messianic. It might be interesting to ask him what his interpretation of that is.
I guess I
If
will.
you're getting understanding, what I'm saying is you're asking him for understanding on other scriptures. Maybe look at these, and it might.
Well, it tripped me out. Like if you read their version of their beginning, it's totally different. Um, like just the first stories in the Bible, I was literally shocked in reading. It's not a concordance. I can't remember what the heck they call it.
The Torah.
Yeah, it's the Torah, but it's their interpretation of some of the first scriptures.
Reuben, help us out here. Is it the Tanakh? I don't know.
I want to. I got to go back and find it. My books are still like in boxes, but um, just some of the beginning. I was fascinated by the stories in the beginning and things that are left out in Christianity and that are, I wouldn't say added in, but um, like more of a full picture that's told, I guess, in the Torah. And it's not so much the Torah, it's just the supports that go with it. I forget what it's called. It was absolutely fascinating to me during a Bat's Mitzvah to read the beginning and just be like, oh, that's a little different story than I heard. I don't know.
Reuben said could be referring to you pronounce it Shumash or Kumash, Rashi's commentary on the Torah, the Mishnah.
That might be it. Huh. Let's see if I can find it online. I bet I can find it online.
He's asking you what it looked like.
It was the Torah, but it was. Um,
hey, Rob is still waiting for Nephilim to debate him. This is number 12. He invited me. I see him like I see the post. He's just like sleeping, just waiting for someone. I kept advising him not to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, I have them debating. I have a video of them debating. They met here. I'll never forget that night. I was just in like a mood just to shoot the breeze and just have some casual conversation. And both of them got into the room, and I'm like, oh boy, and things got heated. And
Yeah, I actually got to see that because I came in the end tail of it. So that was actually a very great event in Hangout history.
and I know they were supposed to, I don't know, with Clayton and Shanna, they were supposed to organize some debate. So obviously, I don't know, they couldn't get in touch with Neff, or Neff wasn't getting back to them. It just didn't happen, but it just wound up happening in my hangout.
Uh, Neff actually befriended me, and I was like shocked. I said, "Is this the same Neff that is on YouTube circles?" You know, because I keep hearing about this guy, and they keep making fun of him. There was one guy that actually made a song about him. I don't know if you ever seen that, but they show him like, you know, with
No.
his big headphones and masturbating in the shower.
Oh God.
It was hilarious. You got to see it. I got to find that. You know, it's you got to see it. And that's how I knew Nephilim. I was like, is this the same guy that they keep talking about? And it was, and I was like a little starstruck actually.
I heard a story floating around. I don't know how true it is. That somebody caught him. I guess he was in a hangout, and he was going through his screens, and he had a screen open to some porn or something like that. It was pornographic in nature, and he kind of clicked out of it real fast, but somebody was caught it and posted
Oh,
it.
oh, that is hilarious. That is funny. That happened to some guy on the news. I think it was like some type of talking about the weather, and he had his iPad, and the guy was talking, and then he was using it, and the camera actually put it on his pad, and it showed a picture of a penis, and it kind of showed it right on live TV. It's true story. I seen it. It was hilarious. It was on Fox News actually, of out of all places.
Oh, the irony. It always seems like those who preach the hardest fall the hardest.
And it's the funniest actually when they fall. It is the most hilarious. Oh my god, that was funny.
It just reminds me, like, remember back in the Jim Swagger days? I don't know if you remember that. And he
Oh
got
yeah.
the prostitutes and stuff. And he
Oh
he
yeah.
was always preaching hard against sexual sins and everything.
Yeah, there was another one recently, the one that against homosexuality, they found out with a male prostitute.
Oh yeah, wasn't
He was on that Richard Dawkins / documentary or something. I forgot the guy's name. He's pretty famous. He was pretty
Tim
famous around the circle.
Tim something? I think it was Tim. I can't remember. I know
Yeah,
he's yeah.
yeah, it was a guy against like gay marriage and stuff, and then you know he got caught with a male prostitute, and he admitted it to it. It's like weird.
That happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not shocking, is it?
It's just ironic. That's all.
Yeah, it's the irony. Yeah, you're right. It's not really shocking, but it's more of the irony, you know.
Is
Of,
that ironic?
Well, because they're up there preaching against sin and everything and acting holier than thou, and then here they get caught in the very sin that they're preaching against. And
Oh, I've learned in life that it's the people who are the biggest Bible thumpers that you got to watch out for.
yeah, yeah,
They'll be preaching about how they hate, take your pick, and they'll be the first to visit the whorehouse.
Mhm.
Anybody that that truly hates gays is struggling with something internally. truly hates blacks is like Strom Thurmond stroking them on the side. Like I'm always watchful.
Yeah, that's something. It's probably something within themselves that they hate so much that, you know, they got to say something about it, and then internally they have those issues themselves. You know,
It's
maybe like a cry out for help. You know, I don't know.
or just a cry out to be not found out. I don't even know if it's for help. They just don't want to be found out. And so if they can make people believe that they hate it so much, then no one will ever even think that they're part of that group.
Yeah, yeah. It's like somebody who farted and then blaming somebody else.
That's simple.
The one who denied it supplied it.
There you go.
The one who smelt it dealt it.
Yeah, those kind of folks, they just make me kind of chuckle. It's sad because they spread so much hate and fear.
Yeah, it's something, and it's something. But you know, I don't know. It's pretty significant, especially you know people who with this homosexual issue. I find a lot of them have like these homosexual tendencies. I think especially during like sexuality. I think.
I think there's probably a lot of people who have homosexual tendencies. I bet that if sex wasn't such a, I don't know what you call it, subversive, if it wasn't so negatively looked at in our society, and a lot of this shit was just to the open, or it wasn't an issue, um, you'd find a lot of people acting in different ways than they purport to.
Yeah, it could be. They could be much more relaxed and you know not so hateful. Like, yeah, I'm you know regardless of what religious persuasion, but I know that you know I deal with people who are you know homosexual and they have a rough time in life, and some of them will just deny it, and
Yeah.
they will do all these different types of behaviors in order to suppress it. It's actually very disheartening because you know they're suffering. You know?
Right. It's very sad. Well, and it's funny because out of all of the things you can do sexually, like that's the one we're hung up on? Like it's almost like worse to be gay than it is to be like a pedophile. Well, except if you're a gay one.
No, exactly, exactly. Well, I really hope that that changes through time, but it can't just keep going like this because it's causing a lot of issues, especially amongst teenagers and the stuff that they have to go through, and you know, and you know you have suicide. Like I remember, like I used to work near Rutgers, and there was a guy that actually you know confessed that he liked this guy. He never said he was gay. He just got into college, and this happened in Rutgers, I think, back in 2009. And they had the whole thing on, you know, on a webcam.
Yeah, I
Uh,
remember.
yeah, and the guy went to the George Washington Bridge and committed suicide. You know, and I can't just imagine because you know the first time he's actually out in a dorm, in a regular society where he had to live at home, God knows what, he had to suppress that. And then finally he gets to experience, you know, a relationship, and they had a video, you know, they had it taped, and the guy, and they put it out on the web, and he committed suicide. And that's how powerful this stuff is.
I agree. Very sad. It was funny. I was just watching Hotel Rwanda today, and it was absolutely baffling to me that that happened. Genocide of 1 million people, let's just say, in 100 days. And that had nothing to do with religion.
Yes, that whole history of it. You know, it didn't come in a vacuum, of course. I know, you know, with the Tutsis and the Hutus, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the Tutsis were the ones that were more closely aligned with the colonial powers, and they're the ones that had, you know, a lot of the jobs and esteem and prestige, and basically at one point.
In the 20th century, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
From then on, I think it just kept going back and forth. But then I was reading something about Zaire. Well, it was called the Congo. It's called the Congo now.
Yeah.
That when the Belgians, you know, took over that area, there was like mass slaughter, and I'm not talking about, you know, just like, you know, killing everybody with machine guns. I'm talking about like machetes, chopping people's breasts and genitalia, you name it. They were burning down people, and this is, you know, people from Belgium, and I'm not saying that they learned this type of behavior because of them. I think it just coincide of what, you know, people witness around that area, and how violence is probably one of the ways to, you know, conduct warfare. Who knows? So, you know, I was looking a little bit into the history, but for me, like I seen that Hotel Rwanda, and it's very scary, actually.
Yeah, but it goes to me like, you know, people say more people have died because of religion and in religion related disputes.
Well, religion could be used as a tool. It's not the cause of something. You know, you could use nationality, you could use religion, you could use, you know, anything in order to get people mobilized to commit atrocities.
That's true. That's very true. But what Ruben's saying here is interesting. Leopold II of where? Oh, okay.
Yes, that was the king of Belgium. Yeah.
He killed 10 million Congolese?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
God.
Yeah, all for rubber.
Wow.
You know, there's stories about that. There's even, I think, some photos, you know, of how this thing went down. And it's not known. And this thing is like very hidden. But you talk about 7.5 million, 10 million people. And I'm not talking about just like, again, like, I'm talking about brutal killings, none of that gas or mass extermination by machine guns or anything like that. I'm talking about burning, chopping, guns, you name it. It was done.
That's terrible. This is why Africans, at least African Americans, are so afraid of Caucasians.
I'm Caucasian. I'm afraid of Caucasians.
Wow. And Belgium is such a small little country.
Yeah, Zaire's is like maybe 50 times the size of that little country. Yeah.
And now they act so refined, and they're so beyond slavery and colonialization, and oh, wow, I hadn't a clue.
Well, it's happening now because if you think about even around, the areas of West Africa, Nigeria, and places like that, with this blood diamond and with the oil, and they create these type of divisions in order for them to make sure that these countries are unstable in order for the prices of these commodities, are down. Yeah, exactly. So it's business. It's business disguise of, religion, politics, nationality, all these things. But, not to say that these things don't happen before them, but this is now going on with a mass scale.
Yeah, that's why I say it'll be easier for a camel to get through a needle than it will be for a rich man to get through to heaven.
Yeah, I'm sure. And all needles. Yeah, but I hope it definitely gets better. So.
Yeah, that was a poor translation. I'll agree.
Wow, that's a big difference. A rope, not a camel.
I didn't know it was a rope.
Well, Ruben, thank you. I learned something new today.
You gotta cross-check that. You can't just take everything somebody writes in a chat as true.
Just for today.
Okay.
I'm sure tomorrow I'll research it and say, no, I didn't learn it. I learned that was not right. So there you go.
Well, it's not going to help if you get us to Aramaic. We can't read it. What are we going to do? Put Google Translate? That'll really screw us up.
They actually been helping me with Spanish.
Really?
Yeah, I speak Spanish, but I have to learn to write. So it's been helping me somewhat.
Oh. I just laugh at it. It helps sometimes to see a post come through in Japanese or whatever, and it translate it for you, and at least gets you directionally what it's trying to say. Dang, I don't know what to say or do about Africa.
Well, since the world is getting a little smaller, people are becoming a little bit more aware. And I think if people communicate with each other and and see what could be done, I think that's the first step. And then from then on, we'll definitely see what's going on. Africa is a very complex issue because it's so huge and it's so diverse. It's a big place.
It's been so fucked over for so long.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, I forgot we're on air.
That's okay. No problem. Just don't show us your messy room there again.
Well, it's all clean now.
Yeah. That video, that hangout, and your picture is on for some, I guess the way it popped up on YouTube.
God.
Your picture is on the front there, and it gets a lot of views, that video.
Is it of my messy room?
I think that's the one with your messy room, yeah.
That's hilarious.
I seen your messy room. I seen it.
It was hell. So clean now.
Don't you have white chairs, right?
I have a white chair, huh?
A white chair, okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
I was like, oh my god, this is on the air. That's the first time I met Reuben.
When was the first time you actually did the Google Hangouts?
Oh gosh, I've been on here since day 22, 23.
Of this year?
Oh no, when it first opened.
When was that?
Oh, 2011.
Wow, I'm actually like brand new, actually.
Oh really? How long have you been on?
John, what was it, a month?
Oh wow.
Yeah, for me it's only a few months. I didn't know Google Hangouts was around since 2011. I thought it was pretty recent. Oh,
June 26th of 2011. I was on sometime in mid-July.
Oh.
I think it's going to gain momentum, to tell you the truth, definitely.
You think
Yeah.
it'll gain momentum?
I think it'll gain more momentum. I think
Yeah, if it does, that's when I'm gonna be gone.
Yeah, if it ever turns into Facebook, I'm out of here. Because the reality of it is, like when my friends join Google Plus that are friends on Facebook, I almost block them.
I don't connect the two worlds.
My mom joined Google Plus. Guess what? Guess what? Who got blocked?
You?
My mom. I blocked her lickety split.
It's a good move. I would do the same thing.
I love my mom, but no, I don't want to be in a hangout with her. That's what Christmas and Thanksgiving are for.
Yeah, you talk to her over the phone, you see her, and why you have to choose another media for communication? That makes a lot of sense. That's funny. Like I spoke to my mom today, and she was just getting me aggravated. I'm trying to be nice and smile. I'm like, okay, all right, goodbye. Love you.
It is. Like, my family during the holidays, it is not fun. It sucks because we used to all go to Grandma's house. She'd cook. Then people started getting divorced. Then people started writing people out of wills and shit. Then people started. All happens now is everyone fights. So I cook at Thanksgiving and invite my mom and my brother and a bunch of family and friends. Then I got to go to Grandma's because Grandpa won't come if my mom's there, or my dad won't come. Oh, it just turns into hell.
That sounds like your typical family get-together.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
and then invariably it's split between, I'd say half of them are Democrats, half are Republicans. Oh, God forgive if you start talking politics. Half of them are Christians, half of them are atheists. God forbid if you start talking religion. The only thing we can agree on is the Denver Broncos.
Well, that's good. You know, that's actually really good. You could build on that. Just talk about, hey, discussion, Denver Broncos. That's what we're going to talk about.
Pretty much. As long as they're not the team playing the Cowboys for Thanksgiving, we're good.
Yeah, I don't like the Cowboys. That's one team I do not like. Yeah, I have, I kind of wish I had discussions like that. It's more about like, did you know what happened to your cousin? He's in jail. This is what happened. These type of conversations. Oh, she did this, she did that. It's like nothing but like a TV novela, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. Telenovela.
Oh, I wish I could burn those people alive. I can't stand it. Like I grew up with that crap, and I'm like, oh my god. And it's hard because I understand every word of it, and I can't stand it. I don't know. It gives Spanish people a really bad name because the stories are so dull. Excuse me?
They're just soap operas. They last 6 months and then they go to the next crap.
Yeah, but they're all the same story. It's the same exact story every time. There's no creativity whatsoever. There's nothing original. Like I actually enjoy, the Brazilian ones because they're actually very exciting and they could get violent at times, and they're shorter, so they're
You're
more
looking at the
creative.
hot women. Come on.
Oh, of course. but I see that with the Spanish ones too. But with the Brazilian ones, at least they have a storyline, and I do really enjoy it. But Spanish ones are just really like cliche and boring and stupid and counterproductive and makes you dumber when you watch it.
Well, that's a lot of television. My guilty pleasure is definitely Scandal and The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Terrible shows.
Yeah, mine is Aqua Teen Hunger Force. It's about a hamburger, French fries, and a soda. It's for 15 minutes. I actually enjoy the crap out of it. It's actually based off of South Jersey, and they talk about like this Jersey humor. I don't know. I like it.
Oh, wow. I can't stand Honey Boo Boo. My kid will watch that crap.
Yeah, the mom should be arrested. I don't know why that family's not arrested. It's just like abuse.
Child abuse. But so are that Toddlers and Tiaras. That should be child abuse, too.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'll arrest all of them.
But then they found out that that guy who was the Mormon guy who had like 8 wives or 5 wives, whatever it was, he was hooking up with someone in his parish that was underage. Oops.
Yeah, I'm sure. You're having 8 wives. Sky's the limit there, man. I don't know.
I just wonder what's going on for the women. Like, what are you thinking?
I think it's trained. I think it's this is how they grew up. This is what was normal. It's ingrained. And yeah, money has to do with it too. There was a HBO series.
They're on welfare and shit. How do they?
Big Love. I don't know if you ever seen
Yeah,
that.
that was the guy that got busted.
That dude is Mormon?
Yes.
That actor is a Mormon, playing a Mormon on the HBO series.
Oh, the HBO series. No. It was at A&E.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, never mind then.
Yeah, I watched Big Love, and the guy actually had only 3 wives. And when I'm watching that show, I was like, I never want to be involved in a relationship with 3 women at the same time. It was the most stressful. Kids everywhere. The guy had 3 houses. The guy had money, but it was just constant, bickering between all 3 wives. It gave me a headache. I was like, no.
I would just find it easier to have 2 concubines and a wife, or some mistresses. Good grief.
Too much work. Too much work to maintain relationships like that.
One is already enough, right?
Yeah, they're like, my wife is like 5 women in one, man.
I don't know.
She got personality disorder.
Yes. She developed a new one this year. Oh, but I love her. We've been married 13 years, so.
Oh, that's great. Do you have kids?
Yes, I have 2 kids.
Oh, happy Father's Day, even though it's a day after. Well,
Yeah, it was a nice Father's Day. I got a mug, #1 dad, which I'm using right now. I got some chocolates, and it's all good, man. I didn't have to do.
Tie? No one gave you a tie?
I don't wear ties.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You boo-boo. It's a fantastic argument for sex education and contraception. That's funny. Oh.
I wonder where the whole idea of a tie came from.
It's to hang you with. It's to literally, that's what it is. It's to hang your neck.
Yeah, a woman thought of that.
Of course, Ruben would know. Croatia.
Well, thank you for Croatia for bringing it a useless form of clothing.
You were talking about soap operas before. I think they've all but died out now, it seems, right? Daytime, I mean, I didn't keep up with it, but I mean, it was a big thing like in the 70s and even into the 80s, all these soap operas. And
Well, that's when people didn't have cable.
I don't even know if these soap operas exist anymore. Like
No,
Days of Our Lives and all the other ones.
I used to love Days of Our Lives.
General Hospital.
I loved that, and what was the one with Eric Kane? All My Children.
They're all but gone now, aren't they?
No, they're still there. The problem is that the women are working now. Not to sound sexist, but everybody's working. Nobody has really time to watch things during the daytime. That's my take on it. So.
Not all of them. They killed off Santa Barbara. They killed off One Life to Live. As the World Turns. They killed off a lot of soap operas.
Yeah. Now everything is reality TV.
Bold and the Beautiful. I think that's done. Yeah.
I watched one soap opera. I think I was like 16, 17. And the only reason I got into it is because the girl I was dating at the time, I would hang out with her while she was babysitting. And we were watching General Hospital back in the Luke and Laura days. I don't know if you guys remember.
I totally know those days. Yeah.
With the ship, I think there was some kind of ship. I forgot what it was. It was a big part of it.
That's like me in church.
Back then. Yeah, that was everybody's favorite. Like, that was the power couple, Luke and Laura. Well, that was the 80s, right?
Yes, Ruben, they did let me over when she was babysitting. Yeah, she was babysitting her sister's kids. They knew I was hanging out there. They liked me.
Oh, the things that you have to sacrifice.
Wow. The worst I'll do is make my guy watch Sex and the City.
I actually enjoyed some of those.
Yeah, back when they were, it was fun watching. Of course, I don't watch it now, but now my show is House of Cards. Oh my God, that's the only reason I have Netflix. What, you like House of Cards, Ruben?
You loved it, huh?
Yeah, me too.
Do they kill? I'm sorry, do they kill people?
We have to wait till February 15th before our next installment. The show is absolutely brilliant. And what I do is when I'm watching the show, that's when I get on my elliptical. So the only time I'll watch it is when I'm working out. And it forces me to work out. I can work out 3 hours in a row just because I'm watching back-to-back videos. I start going pretty slow, but needless to say, I love it. Try Bourgeois. Okay. Might have to watch, because I refuse to watch Orange is the New Black. I won't watch any prison shows. I was warped by Oz. After that, I will never do anything bad, ever. People call me like a prude and all this stuff. They make fun of me. I am never going to jail. Oh, Borges. Okay. What else did I watch? You know the movie that screwed me over and I couldn't even get through the whole thing? It's not Caligula. Is that the movie? Wait. The Penthouse movie. It's famous.
Yeah, I've seen Caligula. I seen it when I was 6, 7 years old.
Is it the one where the emperor like does some pretty nasty things to the man and woman on their wedding night?
Yes.
Yeah, that fucked me up.
Yeah, that was. I saw that when I was very young.
Why?
Because I was curious. Yeah, I was. I was exposed very early in life. Actually, when I watched that, um, it doesn't bother me as much because it almost looks like a comedy for some reason. I think Gore Vidal actually did something with it. Yeah, I try not to watch disturbing movies anymore. Um, there's no point to it.
We're all at a party and somebody decided to get that movie out and watch it. And I was just like, what is this crap? There must have been like 50 people there, and I was like, I'm leaving.
Yeah, that person probably did to piss people off.
It was just like disgusting. I would just wonder if Caligula was really like that.
Oh, he was worse.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, these Romans were very creative when it came to torture and death. Made it a whole spectacle.
I just, I mean, like I've never seen two guys kiss. Well, that's not true. At that point, I had, but some of the things that he did was just like, wow.
Yeah. It's very. It's. There was another show called not Sparta. What's that guy? Spartacus.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you guys seen it?
No.
It was about Spartacus, and they talk a lot about the Colosseum and the Romans and everything, and very brutal way of life. Everything was just like very heathen. How do you say that word?
Mystic?
Not mystic, hedonism, where like yeah, hedonistic, where just pleasure was just like the ultimate aim for some of these people. Like you would go to a house and they have these orgies. It was just like a common thing. They'll have slaves and you name it, man.
It's just profound for me because I've never had an orgy, so I wouldn't know, but I just don't, I think it would be overstimulating.
Yeah, it's man, who knows? It is crazy. Like and it's funny because my family actually comes from the region of like southern Spain,
Mm-hmm.
and like my family name actually, are connected to Caesar. What used to be centurions for the Caesar of Rome, and this is back a little bit before 2,000 years when our family was established. And it has a very long history within the Mediterranean.
Well, your people enslaved Reuben's people.
Yeah, we enslaved everybody. Who didn't we enslave? The only ones that we didn't try to enslave was the barbarians up north, Germanics, but you know, on and off wars. But it was just it was a brutal society. You know, and not just the Romans, but you know, you talk about other cultures around that area, about that the fertile belt, consistent wars of, and people were not so nice to each other. I think sometimes I really feel that back then I think people were more brutal.
I don't know. There's some brutal motherfuckers today.
Yeah, yeah. But there was, you know, we could kill people very easily with guns, but you know, you had to have knives, and so it took a lot more effort.
Oh. I don't know. Leopold seemed to have done well. We were talking about Leopold II of Belgium, killed apparently up to 10 million people on the Congo.
Yeah.
Unreal. I can't imagine, like, 10 million people. That's like, what, LA? Chicago?
Yeah, you can't even imagine. You know, it is unbelievable. Yeah, so
I'm just yeah, I'm just gonna stop the live broadcast at this point because it's like 3 hours. So I try not to keep it running too long. And since we're going off into other topics anyway, so
hey, what's the topic today?
those who are watching, thanks for dropping by, and we'll just continue off air after this.